Hey guys, this is Chris with Frost Chica, and this video is for a customer who wrote me this week. She was complaining that her whipped butters get hard again. So guys, when you whip a butter, you're bringing air into the mix, but you're not changing the chemical composition of that butter. Okay, so the melting point is the temperature that fat will melt. If a butter has a real high melting point, the butter is very hard, it's still gonna be hard, okay, even if you just whip. It may work. I don't work with shea butter, but it may work with shea butter because shea butter is a softer butter. So if you whip, it may get softer and fluffier. But okay, so I did this experiment for you guys. This is cupuaçu. Cupuaçu is a harder butter, but not super hard. You can still melt in your hands and use it pure. So this one is just cupuaçu whipped. It got so pretty, guys. I just melted the cupuaçu. I popped it in the fridge for a little bit. I'm at home. My home, I keep my home warmer than my office. So I popped in the fridge a little bit. As soon as it started solidifying, I whipped it and it became this white, beautiful thing. And I keep my home warmish, because I'm in Florida, so I don't really like AC. So my house right now is at maybe 78, 77. So look, it's still, after a while it gets the same. It's prettier and it's white and it looks fluffy, but it's not fluffy. You can still use it. You can just grab a piece and melt in your hands. But she wanted that feeling of whipped butter. So this one, see, I wrote on my bowls here, this one has 1/3. So I mixed an oil. So once you mix the oil with the butter, you are lowering the melting point of that mix, so it's gonna be softer. This one I put 1 part of oil. I actually use pracaxi. I use 1 part of oil for 3 parts of butter. So 3 ounces of butter and 1 ounce of oil. See, it's softer. It doesn't break, But remember, guys, it's winter. Most of you guys are in way colder place than I am. So this one is already fluffier, and then I did, of course, with half. So this one has 1.5. See, 1.5 ounce of pracaxi for 3 ounces of cupuaçu. And look, this one is a cream. It's fluffy. This one you don't have to melt in your hands, before applying. So guys, if you want a fluffy and creamy whipped butter, you need to if you're working for harder butter, you're gonna need to mix a much softer butter or an oil, okay? And also, what works for me, if you keep your house super hot, super cold, you may have to add more oil. Just make sure that besides you have to choose your ingredients on what you want, the properties, but also the texture that you want. So I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of my butters, what they look like. Let's start Tucumán. Okay, Tucumán can be used. My butters are all pretty harder. Tucumán, you'd have to make the same. Okay, it melts in your hands because, like I said, the melting point is below your body's melting point. So it melts in your hands, you can apply, but basically you have to mix with the same amount of oil that it makes cupuaçu. That's Tucumán. Tucumán is great as a sealer. Tucumán is called Tucumán murumuru are the vegetable silicone. So murumuru is a cousin of Tucumán, but it's a little bit harder, okay? I could have actually I think I'm gonna stop this video and I'm gonna get scissors. So look, cupuaçu. So guys, if you decided to whip just murumuru and Tucumán, yeah, it's gonna be whipped, it's gonna look different, but at the end, like, like, I mean, after a few minutes, it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be like the same hardness. So unless you mix, guys, unless you mix oil or much softer butter, you're gonna be cocoa butter super hard. Guys, no cocoa butter, okay? Like, how are you gonna like whip cocoa butter and expect it to just be fluffy? Guys, whipping is not magic. Yes, whipped body butter, whipped hair butter, like, people, it's like, it's amazing. And yes, I understand why there's like freaking 10 billion followers, like the whole idea of whipping a butter. But you're not, it's magical, but it's not magic. It's not gonna change the melting point of your butter. So if you wanna like a butter that's gonna be like whipped and that's gonna be softer, you're gonna have to mix softer, like softer butters to it. Bakuri is like it has actually like not like such a low melting point, but it's like a softer butter. But bakuri is kind of hard unless you have like dark skin and you're not like, you don't think nothing of a... I went to get scissors. So if you think nothing of like staining your entire house, I usually do bakuri for like a lighter butter. So yes, look, bakuri is easier to use alone if it wasn't for the color. In fact, oh my gosh, it makes your skin gorgeous, okay? Bakuri may be like a little uglish, but it makes your skin beautiful. And the darker you are, the better it works for you. Ukuba, guys. Now, you're not like, and some people are like, oh, you melt butters. I got people saying, oh, you melt butters to whip. Just, guys, you don't know my butters. If you're only working with shea butter or soft butters or avocado, or like, then you can maybe whip without like, But Ukuba is amazing. It's a great butter for hair. It's a great butter for like scalp. It's a great butter. It has a very unique like chemical composition that you only get from Ukuba. But you're gonna need to mix with a lot softer fats in order for this to become like a whipped butter, Avocado is hydrogenated, so it's like very soft, and yes, it's delicious. I honestly don't see the point of even like, whipping avocado butter. I do think that avocado and mango, even though like many of my customers absolutely adore my avocado and mango, I think of them as a little bit of lesser butters, just because the history, like, they're not like wild harvested, they're not like created by indigenous people, but I'm just a snob. My avocado and my mango are fair trade. They come from like a community like farms, co-op farms. So both my cupuaçus have pretty much the same, like, the same hardness, because like I said, they may smell a little bit different, they may look a little different because they're from different producers, but the chemical composition is the same. So basically, I mean, the chemical composition of like wild harvested products may vary, but not that much that's gonna change like, the hardness or like the melting point of like a fat. So guys, basically, if you want like a fluffy and delicious like you see in the movies, or maybe like Instagram movies, you need to mind your melting point, the hardness of the ingredients that you're using. So basically, if you have to adjust depending on like like the temperature, like if you sell it, you have to think that like wintertime, it's easier to like just like sell whipped butters. Summertime, they're gonna melt and they're not gonna look that great after they melt. So remember, you think that this was pretty. Oh, no, that's 1/3. This was super pretty, right? It's beautiful. Look at this difference between this cupuaçu to this prettiness, like like right here. It was beautiful. It was like, looks like you whipped like the most beautiful, but look, it's the same. Okay, you just waste your time pretty much, you melted it and you whipped it, because it could as well have used like just the cupuaçu without whipping. The 1/3 oil, this one here, I probably like is to be easier for me to use summertime, you know, like, but it's, I mean, you can, look, see, it's creamy. And this, like, I put half of oil. Oh, I hope those things come off like my cheap bowls. And look, this one's kind of like melting just from being like close to my door. So guys, adjust your melting point, adjust your ingredients so you're gonna have the fluffiness that desired, okay? I'm Crazy from Frostica. You can text or WhatsApp me at 954-274-2032. And even if you don't buy butters with me, even if you're working with different butters or different products, you can still like shoot me your questions, okay? Thank you and have a glorious weekend.